So we're going to look at AI as it affects the C-suite now and not into the future. We're not too far into the future. So I want to see a show of hands. How many people are getting AI business solutions in their inbox? Let's see some hands. Okay. How about their LinkedIn inbox? How many people are getting AI solutions? So I was thinking that maybe that's the universe trying to tell us something. But what I really think is that AI is here, and it's the next disruptive technology that we need to face. So let's talk about beliefs. They control our actions, whatever we believe. So let's take a deeper look. So I love this slide. It's a quote from Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, and I think sometimes that's how business is, an adventure in Wonderland where we just don't know the future and we just have to strike out and do our best. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And I feel like that's AI. We're hearing so much noise, so much hype, and we just really don't know how to act. We don't know how to react and what we should do next. So who here believes that AI is a threat to their business? Any hands? Well, the answer is yes. So I was hoping I might get some hands. It's a threat if you don't do anything. It's a threat if you're passive. But if you're active, if you're preemptive, then it's an enhancement to your business. AI is not the panacea. It's just a tool. So we need to be treating it like a tool and need to be engaging in AI like we did all the other trends before it. So what's the promise of AI? Well, it's efficiency, it's automation, it's data-driven decisions, and we've heard a lot about these things in the previous talks. And it's enhanced customer experience. We haven't heard a lot about that, but that's really the point, because that's how we receive income, from pleasing our customers, or as Steve Jobs used to say, delighting the customers. So to understand AI and what it means to the future, and to get our minds around what we should be doing, let's take a look at the past. Let's use the past as analog. And there we go. So let's look at some past technologies. And my first example is the fall of Kodak. This was back when we were going from paper to digital, when everything was being scanned and put on our computers, and we were pushing information back and forth as electrons. And Kodak was an international brand. It was a top 5 brand. It was one of the super companies of the world. And the irony is that Kodak in the 60s and 70s basically developed digital photography. And they have awesome research and development at Kodak, and they presented the future of photography to their leadership. And the leadership looked at what they could do with digital photography, and they said, we're so much better. Our silver-based, halogen silver-based papers and films are so much better than what digital can provide. And they thought the computer power required to get it up to their standards couldn't be achieved. So they ignored the digitization in business. But other companies who were more aggressive, like Sony, like Canon, like Nikon, said we better hedge our bets. We better develop both. And it got to the point where digital photography was starting to take a bite out of Kodak, but they still didn't change. They stuck to their guns, and they doubled down on silver photography. And then the iPhone came. And the iPhone 1 and 2 and 3, it was like a phone with a camera. And that was novel, but the quality still wasn't there. You weren't going to be shooting anything for a billboard or a magazine ad on an iPhone. But about iPhone 6, the world changed. And billboards were being created from iPhone, magazine ads, magazine pictures sports pictures, business, everything was being done on an iPhone. And Kodak found themselves on their heels in a very unstable environment. So they were behind the curve. And there were so many other players who were ahead of the curve that Kodak could never catch up, and it fell. So Kodak used to have this thing called the Kodak moment when when something important happened in your life, when you had a birthday, a celebration, Christmas, vacations. That was called a Kodak moment. And Kodak moments have passed. And now it's the moment for the digital world. So that's a cautionary tale of being behind the curve. So let's talk about being ahead of the curve. There was a company called Webvan. They were formed in 1996. They were formed by Louis Borders of Borders Books. And there was this upstart company called Amazon. And Amazon was eating away at their margins. And at that point, Amazon was just selling books online. But Louis Borders could see this whole e-commerce thing and said, I'm going to start a new company. And it's going to be based on e-commerce. And his vision was home delivery of groceries. So he did an IPO of $400 million because he was Louis Borders. And he started building giant warehouses, regional, all over the United States. That could store food and process food, and bought vans for delivery of food. And at one point, the company was evaluated at $1.2 billion. But there was a problem. The customers weren't ready. The customers weren't ready to give up their favorite grocery store, to give up that tactile feeling of going in and thumping that melon and looking at that steak and seeing the striping on the steak and saying this is a good steak, or looking at those expiration dates and making those choices. They weren't ready. And they died a spectacular death because they were ahead of the curve, or you could say they were over their skis. So now we have two stories, two cautionary tales. One of a company called Kodak, who was on its heels and could never recover, and one who was over their skis and died a spectacular death like you would if you're over your skis tumbling down a hill. And there was this little upstart company called Amazon, and they paid attention. And they said, we got to do this right. So that takes us to a chart, the only chart here. Every image that you see was AI generated except for this. And it's called the Gartner Hype Cycle. And, Kodak behind the curve, Webvan ahead of the curve, and we want to be riding the curve. We don't want to be on the bleeding edge of the technology. That's for the big boys. That's for the Microsofts of the world. We don't want to be left behind and be eclipsed. There's a company out there called Lemonade. They were an insurance company out of Florida, a medium-sized insurance company. And they decided they were going to make a stir in their business by incorporating AI with a chat box called Maya. And Maya could do everything that they had people doing on the phone. And people liked it because they got instantaneous response and they got quality responses. And they shook up that industry. So there's a small company who made a big play in their industry because they used AI. That's what it means to be riding the curve, and that's what we want to do. So there are 5 phases. The innovation trigger is that we are collecting mountains and mountains of data that we can't possibly process. There were institutions like the Defense Department and universities that were, using supercomputers and crunching numbers, but it wasn't for the normal business. Maybe some Fortune 100 companies were doing stuff like that, but we didn't have access to that kind of computing power. But we needed access, so there was a need. And because there was a need, chips like the NVIDIA chip came out, data centers went up, and this was basically when Microsoft and Amazon and Google were building data centers in 2014 and 2016. So that's the innovation trigger. And the next part of the next phase is called the peak of inflated expectations, because they sunk a lot of money into these data centers, some of them the size of soccer fields. And so they started saying things like, AI is the industrial revolution. And they started pushing AI. And this was 2017 to 2019. And people tried to use AI, and it just didn't work. The AI became oversold, and people were disillusioned. And that takes us to the trough of disillusionment. So you can see down below we say we are here. So we're somewhere between the trough of disillusionment and the slope of enlightenment. And that's the sweet spot. This is where we want to be as medium and small size and even large businesses. We want to be here right now, because we're not on the bleeding edge anymore. These data centers got their acts together. They went back and they matured AI, and they started coming out with cool tools that we could use. So we went from the trough of disillusionment to the slope of enlightenment. So these really great AI tools came out, and we've been talking about them. ChatGPT. If you're on the Twitter or X platform, there's Grok. Elon Musk claims that Grok will surpass ChatGPT this month. He's not always accurate in his predictions, but in the long run, he seems to be pretty accurate. So I like using these tools, and I kind of see them as personal assistants. They're not running my company, but they're cool. The next phase, and the folks before us in the fireside chat kind of went through this. It's the plateau of productivity, where we won't even talk about AI anymore. It just will be in everything. It's kind of like the cloud, back when the cloud was in the hype cycle. And have you heard of the cloud, and what's the cloud, and do I need the cloud, and do we have the cloud, and what's the cloud doing, and am I making money on the cloud? And now we don't even talk about it. And that's what's going to happen with AI. So we're in that sweet spot, and I really recommend going to the Gartner Hype Cycle, because they have hype cycles on products, they have hype cycles on industries, and it's not simple like this. It's very, very detailed, and they publish every year, and you can take a deep dive into the Gartner Hype Cycle, and you need to find out, whatever your business is, where you are on the cycle. Are you still in the peak of inflated expectations, which is just about over? Are you in the trough of disillusionment, or are you in the slope of enlightenment? Where is it to your company? Where are you on the cycle? Because this is a curve, so you can be behind the curve, you can be ahead of the curve, but like I said, you really want to ride the wave. So the question becomes, how can AI serve my company? And everybody's got a different company, so the answers are all going to be different. So that makes this part difficult. How do I address that? How do I make that meaningful? And so what I did was I went back to basics, the basics of business. How can AI relate to your company as it relates to your specific vision, your specific mission, your specific culture, your customer experience, and your ROI? So in the last talk, they talked a little bit about democratization and the democratization of AI. That's where AI is in the background. You don't even know you're using it, and you're taking advantage of the wonderful things it can do. And a good example of that would be Shopify. So what did Shopify do? And how did they do that? They quietly did that by looking at AI for solutions. The first thing they did was they looked for bottlenecks and points of friction and weaknesses within their companies. And they said, how can AI help us with those things? And they realized that shopping carts in the day, when they first started, they were painful. They were hard to put online. They were kludgy. They were buggy. and you ended up spending a lot of money on consultants and programmers, and they said, we need to take that away, and we need to have AI help us do that. Their vision was that a single proprietor could go online and fill out forms and information, and they could have a shopping cart. And they succeeded. The next thing they did is sort of in a triage, is they did fraud detection. They realized that they're getting customers, and they have to protect their customers from fraud, and they used AI to achieve that. The next thing they did in their triage mode was customer behavior. They were collecting a lot of data on behalf of their customers. They want their customers to be successful. So what do? They start to help their customers by showing them trends, showing them when to stock, when to phase out a product, and how to manage their online business. And what they're doing now is content creation because they're helping their customers sell. So what did they do? They personalized it. They did fraud protection, customer behavior, content creation. They did it behind the scenes. They didn't tout AI, but they used AI to help them. They made a big investment, and they're the dominant shopping cart in the world, from the Fortune 500 company to the single proprietor with a website. So that's an amazing story. So how do we relate that to our business? We're not Shopify. We're a lot of other things. We do lots of different things. So I thought, how do I make this next slide? How do I demonstrate for everybody in the room the democratization of AI? So I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me this huge list. It would take more than the time I have allotted to go over, and it would be boring. So I asked ChatGPT, how can I graphically illustrate the democratization of AI? And I had no idea what it was going to say. And it gave me this beautiful word cloud. I wasn't expecting that. It's not my idea. This is ChatGPT giving me a word cloud. So what's it mean? Well, it has its algorithm, it has its experience working with humans, and it has the internet. And it went out and looked for the keywords associated with democratization of AI. So if you see big words there, that means there's a lot of activity in the democratization of AI. And it might mean that you're behind the curve if this applies to your business. So this is how I can make this work for everybody in the room. If it's small, like engagement, insurance, market, research. If it's the smaller words, you may have time to develop this and come up with a plan. So I think this was sort of a breakthrough slide, and I couldn't have done it without ChatGPT. So let's talk about some takeaways. Now this is my favorite image that I generated. I just love this image. Because I wanted to talk about how, as leaders, we're running our companies and we shouldn't be chasing squirrels. We should stay focused. We shouldn't be... And also we shouldn't be hypnotized by the latest technology. And I said to Midjourney was the AI, I said, how do I say don't chase squirrels and don't stare at shiny things? And I hit the button for my word prompt, and I came up with this beautiful image of my shiny squirrel, and I just love that. It's my favorite image. I made so many images trying to do this. It was just crazy, but I had so much fun. So the point is, stay focused. And what does that mean? Go back to the fundamentals. Go back to your vision, go back to your mission, go back to your cultures, go back to your customer experience, and go back to your AI. And attack each one of those in sequence until you get the right answers. And that's leadership. That's where you have to go. So you have staff, you have people, you have to inspire those people to take the mission and the vision that you have and execute those as best you can as it relates to your market to move your business forward so that you're not either behind the curve or over your skis. And sometimes that means that timing matters. So that takes us back to the hype curve and why I showed you that. So you can go back there in your industry and see where you are on the hype curve. And you can study that, and you can use that as a roadmap or a guide to your individual industries. And in most cases, because we're in this sweet spot, you can wait for AI to mature. You can focus on your specific problems, look for those choke points, look for those weaknesses, and start imagining how you can leverage AI. Can teach you all about customer trends. All you have to do is ask, and it will give you that data. It's something that AI can do right now that's really, really useful, looking at customer trends. So my advice is to start reading AI blogs. You know, you could read two blogs a week. You could read a weekly AI newsletter, and you can listen to AI podcasts while you're doing your evening walks or your morning walks or you're in the gym. And just get tuned into AI. Don't go in there with an agenda. Just absorb that information. Let it sink in. Let it be part of your creativity as a leader so that you will have inspiration to know where you're going to go with AI. So use the tools, ChatGPT, Grok. I use them instead of Google now. And I ask each platform and there are other platforms the same question, and I look at what they have to say, and then I use my judgment. I like using Otter. It's an AI app for your phone. I go into a meeting and I'm supposed to be paying attention to the customer. Turn on Otter. It records every word in the meeting. It knows when different people are speaking. It gives me a summary, a perfect summary of the meeting, and it gives me action items and takeaways from the meeting. And now I can be focused on the customer. It's a beautiful thing. Everybody I teach this to who uses Otter all the time. And it's just a real simple way. And it's really the democratization of AI. Something we can do right now to get used to it. And your folks can do that too. Get them using things like ChatGPT and Otter. And Quillbot's the same thing, only you can load a white paper that's 40 pages long that you don't want to read. And it will read it, and it will summarize it, and it will give you the takeaways. So really, really cool technology that's out there right now. So I'm trying to increase my personal brand. And so I'm doing a lot of posts on LinkedIn, and the problem is I don't have any pictures of me. You know, and so I went back through my iPhone that has more than 20,000 photos on it, and I found out that I don't take selfies. I'm behind the camera. And I managed to find 10 selfies that I could load into an AI. I asked ChatGPT, is there a program out there that can take selfies and make headshots? I expected the answer no, but they gave me 4. And I thought, that's amazing. I mean, you don't know unless you ask. And nobody knows AI better than AI. And it changes every single day. So that's not me. I never took that picture. So that's not me. And neither are these. So it's kind of funny because I have pictures from 15 years ago and pictures from now, and for $49 it gave me 100 headshots in about 12 minutes. And now I can use all those, and they're reasonable facsimiles of me, but I didn't post for any one of those. And it's funny because there's younger Garys and older Garys, there's heavier Garys, there's thinner Garys, but they're all Garys. So you could use something like this, and this is the website. So if you have pictures of yourself that don't span decades, you'll get better results. But I just thought this was amazing, and it just amazes me the AI tools that are out there. So ask AI about AI. Whenever you have a little problem, that's why ChatGPT or Grok or some of these other AI are great personal assistants. They're not solving your major problems, but they can point you up to the direction. And so for my last slide, I wanted to show you this.
In a world where data never sleeps and every second counts, how do you turn endless information into intelligent action? Meet RumenBot, engineered to transform complexity into clarity, enhancing your workflow with powerful AI. From streamlining patient care in healthcare to optimizing investment portfolios in finance, RumenBot enhances productivity and innovation. proving to be an invaluable asset across multiple sectors. Constantly learning, UMenBot anticipates future challenges, ensuring your business stays ahead. Ready to redefine intelligence in your workflows? Sign up today and build your UMenBot. Your UMenBot, your own human bot.
This is a synthetic person. This is an AI. You can change the race, you can change the sex, you can change the age, and you can change the language. And this is the kind of technology that's waiting for us right now. That QR code takes you to 15 useful AI word prompts that you can put into ChatGPT, and you will get amazing results. And you can take those word prompts and you can alter them, to your industry and whatever, ideas that you have. And then there's a link to the Gartner Hype Cycle, so you can look at that information. And then there's 27 top AI for business links that you can go to and really start to study what's going on in AI. And I'm going to say it's only good for a month because AI completely changes and it might be obsolete. And it says I have 50 seconds left.
All right, 50 seconds. Would you like applause for 50 seconds? What would you like?
You did amazing. Give it up for Gary.
Yeah.
He did incredible. Incredible.
My goal was to have a takeaway. My goal was to inspire and to show you amazing things. Every slide up there is from a word prompt.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so.
We got it. I saw a lot of cameras out there. A lot of people took the pictures. They got a lot of information. There's some AI tools I've never even heard of before.
And I should tell you that we source products in China, so I'm not an AI expert. I'm just a business person like you. And I have to do what you have to do, and I have to take AI seriously and learn how to incorporate it in my business, and I'm doing that, and I just thought I would share.
Amazing. What an inspiration. Perfect case study of a CEO that needs to incorporate AI. You're never too old to learn, I'll tell you that much, and we constantly have to be engaging, trying, and testing out. So what did you think overall?
I think you're calling me old.
No. I was calling myself old earlier, but I think everyone's older than 53, What can I say? It's a young region over here.
Yeah.
Youth of today, it's about collaborating the young, the old, the everything. You got to use it. There's no doubt. There is no age for this.
Yeah, you'll be ahead of the curve or you'll be behind the curve, but you should be riding the curve. That's basically what I'm saying.
Real deal right here. Gary, CEO of Avela Global and Go Dome. Really nice.